The dexterous, the talented reverberates across the land, leading a wave of developing hopefuls into the next millennium. A new cycle has begun, slowly gathering momentum and building, fueled by youthful aspirations. Now, a first-hand look at the launch point, the quest for national titles.
Good afternoon.
Terry, 4 years down the line, as you say, Sydney, Australia, and the Olympic Games. But, Carol, a whole new ball game, a different set of rules, and for these athletes, a very different playing field.
Absolutely. The good news, no more compulsories, and the athletes love that. However, after every Olympic Games, the International Gymnastics Federation changes the rules, and they are the toughest rules we've ever seen. Athletes and coaches are really struggling out there to put together some routines, so the scores are going to be low, and I mean really low.
Canada's top story at the Olympic Games in Atlanta, Yvonne Tusek. She made the women's individual all-around final. She won't get the chance to compete for a national title here in Ottawa. She had a broken toe and now is experiencing ankle problems. So some other women gymnasts are going to have to step to the floor.
Definitely. We still have two established stars out there, Olympians Shannon McEachern and Jennifer Exaltation. They come into this meet looking really good, but two fresh faces on the scene. Currently ranked #1 in the country after Elite Canada, Sarah Deegan. She is very elegant, but a lot of pressure on her shoulders coming in as #1. Completely contrasting in styles, from Quebec, Veronique Leclerc is incredibly powerful, very explosive. It's going to be a good show.
On the men's side, much first set of optional exercises. Sarah Deegan has the lead over Canadian Olympian Jennifer Exaltation and Quebec's Veronique Leclerc. Shannon McEachern, a little trouble on day one, back in 6th position. Now we go to the second set of optionals. On day number 2, Alison Rudisi.
Scott, this is one of the most beautiful floor routines you are ever likely to see. Alison has the ability to actually create a mood to the point you forget she's competing. Level of tumbling, but I still find her dance certainly the most impressive quality of the routine. When fatigue sets in, so it's important that the choreography keeps the look of the routine alive. Beautiful.
5th after day 1 from Gymnastics Mississauga. There's one of her coaches, Alex Bard.
This is a look at her 3rd tumbling line. 1.5 through to punch front pike, but she is a perfect package of great choreography and excellent expression.
Alex and Allison happy with a 9.075. One of the favorites in this all-around competition, Canadian Olympian Jennifer Exaltation of the Winstonettes.
And it's great to see Jennifer back. We haven't had a chance to watch her in competition since Atlanta. Although it's our first time to take a look at her, it's also our last time. Jennifer has accepted a scholarship to Stanford, and she'll be heading there after her academic year. Nice new routine for Jennifer. Winding up for a double pike dismount.
Jennifer Exaltation, the 1995 Canadian champion.
And that was her Vronin. Leonid Grakovsky has put together a whole new routine for Jennifer, and it seems to be working well.
17 years old, 8.7 on the uneven bars for Jennifer Exaltation. Katie Rowland of Georgetown, Ontario is next, and Katie is on the floor exercise.
Katie is also from the Winstonette Gymnastic Club, coached by Lena Krakowski and Debbie Vidmar. And this is a great event for her. Beautiful 2.5 punch front. Katie has a long, elegant line, and it certainly serves her well on floor. Great triple twist. A lot of athletes will cheat the landing on that, but Katie's triple is completely around. Scott, one of the biggest changes on floor are the new jump combinations. Just like that, athletes are trying to gain those valuable bonus points by putting together intricate jumps. Before, they didn't pay much attention to that area. The emphasis was always on tumbling, but now, to get a full point in bonus, the coaches and the athletes are really looking in every category to get them. A lot of athletes are finishing with front tumbling. It's a little easier to do, but it's still valuable for the judges.
15-year-old Katie Rowland of the Winstonettes, and there is her coach, Debbie Vidmar.
And this is a look at the 2.5 punch front, a very popular line because the 2.5 has that D value. Joined with that punch front, it's an A. So in total, she's getting 3/10 bonus there.
Fourth after day one of the optionals, 9.025 on the floor exercise here as we move along in rotation number one. Sarah Deegan of Oshawa, Ontario, is next on the uneven bars.
Scott, I really like Sarah's style on this event. It's world class, and it starts off right from the beginning. Beautiful ginger, right to pack salto. Very difficult to connect release moves on women's bars, and she's done it beautifully.
That's her coach, Yuli Gerskovich, watching down low, making sure everything's just so fine.
Now he'll come in because she's got another release move planned, and it's a Jaeger. Oh, I really thought she had that. Her hands were right on the bar. She was just slightly out on timing, so her hands slipped. Now, she has 30 seconds to chalk up. She'll use some chalk. She also is a fan of water, so she'll probably get some water onto those leather grips as well. Every athlete has a particular system that works for her. She's looking for good friction on the bar. She's in time within 30 seconds, and so the judges will allow her to finish her routine. Oh, nice giant full. Right through the double pike. That would have been a great routine without the full.
So Sarah Deegan has left herself a little bit of trouble here on the uneven bars. 8.45 as she did fall off the bars. Here's how it looks after one rotation on the final day. Jennifer Exaltation has moved into the lead, followed by Sarah Deegan and Katie Rowland. All three of the top three are the NHL Ottawa Senators. They've moved to the new Corral Center in Kanata. We're in rotation number two of the women's all-around. Katie McAvoy of Winnipeg, Manitoba on the uneven bars.
And Katie is a real rising star on the Canadian national team, and she's certainly making her mark on this event. Nice giant full right into Tkachev. That's what the judges want to see. Anything that pirouettes and has flight, you know you're getting those bonus points. Giant 1.5 right to an overshoot. Katie has good strength on this event. She can really swing it well. Right into a double front. Slightly over-rotated. Hey, she has enough airtime for a half out. Here's the replay of intricate pirouette work. There's the giant 1.5 to an overshoot. You combine the pirouette with the flight of an overshoot. You've got nice bonus points there.
Has some ground to make up. There's her coach, Robert Perchino. 9 even. She was 13th after the first set of optional exercises. Now back to Sarah Deegan, who had some trouble on her first apparatus. Now to the beam.
Scott, this is one event that requires 100% positive attitude. There is no room for doubt or disappointment. So it'll be interesting to see if Sarah's had enough time to recover after bars. She has a jam-packed routine. Just her mount alone. Phenomenal tumbling ability. Now she usually does that split jump and arches backward for big bonus points. They call it a yang bow, but I think her mind is on getting through this routine and trying to be as solid as possible. Back handspring, straight body layout. You could see she was off direction on the back handspring, and the layout is going to go. Now this is the toughest part of all. You've fallen, you're disappointed, and now every ounce of training has to back you up because her score is still going to be important. Nice. Switch split into an aerial. The judges are looking for all sorts of tricks to be actually combined with jumps, and so Sarah's certainly meeting that requirement. Beautiful jumper. But you know, Scott, she's had so many wobbles, and the new rules are now really deducting for those. And even when you fall, you're deducted for the execution error and the fall. Round off, 2.5 twist. She's going to be glad just to get this one over with.
There's Sarah Deegan, 16 years old. She won the beam and the floor at the 95 Nationals, 8.85, and she is disappointed with that as she tries to chase Jennifer Exaltation, who is up next on the beam.
Now, I think we can say, without reservation, this is one of Canada's best beam workers. We saw Sarah Deegan that has so much potential on beam, but ran into trouble. Jennifer's fighting to make sure she doesn't end up in the same spot. This is a new routine that's been put together by Debbie Vidmar, and what I like about it is the fact you never know what's coming. Jennifer has so many beautiful jumps and tumbling skills. It's put together in a really intricate way and fairly unexpected. Nice straight body layout. When the athletes keep their legs together all the way over, it has a D value. The athletes that do it as a step out, it's only a C, so Jennifer's really pushing. That's what I was talking about, the unique creativity. Most athletes would never combine a layout with a jump, but Jennifer does it so beautifully. With everything that's packed into this routine, Scott, she certainly has one of the highest start values at this national championships. So even though she has struggled a little bit, her score should be a lot higher than anyone else's.
Well, she did what Sarah Deegan couldn't do, and that was stay on the beam. There's Debbie Vidmar. Interesting tradition. She never watches the routine.
Not very often, but this is worth watching. Look at the air time, the amplitude, the extension. Beautiful layout.
And a great start value results in a very solid 9.4. Veronique Leclerc of Quebec on the floor exercise.
Music plays such an important role on this event, and I think her coach, Danielle Charon, has selected perfectly. This music is from Yanni, and it's very dynamic, very inspirational. And Veronique works very well to it. Danielle Charon watching her protege. You can see the difference in styles. Veronique is very explosive, a very dynamic athlete, which brings in different qualities than someone like Sarah Deegan would represent on floor. Great tumbler. Music working well for her. Nice change in rhythm. More importantly, Scott, it allows her to rest before the last line. This is when the athletes really start to fade. The trick is to look like you're still dancing in that corner as you try to get some air. Finishes with just a double twist. Now she's powerful enough. You know she's probably working a much stronger line at home training.
15-year-old Veronique Leclerc of Saint-Hubert, Quebec. There's her coach, Danielle Charon. They compete for Gym Richelieu, 8.825, the result on the floor exercise. After 2 rotations, Jennifer Exaltation clings to the lead over Katie Rowland and Sarah Deegan. We'll return to the Canadian. Here's Sarah Deegan floor exercise.
And this is another one that's going to take your breath away. Much like Alison Rudisi, Sarah lives this routine. She's not just getting to the tumbling lines. Really is the true essence of artistic gymnastics. Of a very famous Bulgarian gymnast, Mitova. And when I hear it, I think of her. The music really captures you. Got a big finish plan. Triple twist. I don't know if the judges will give it to her. It wasn't quite a round. But the floor routine is truly inspirational.
Well, there's Sarah Deegan. She was first after the first set of optionals and now trying to catch Jennifer Exaltation.
With her beautiful dance, you can almost forget judging it. But here you can see the triple twist is not complete. Her feet hit the ground at 2 3/4. But look at the beauty.
Well, she'll be pleased with this score. She faltered on the beam, but has a 9-4 on the floor exercise, and this will make it a real competition. Veronique Leclerc on the vault.
Scott, in Canada right now, I think it's safe to say that Veronique owns this event. Look at that. It's absolutely perfect. Front pike with a half. This has a start value of 9-6. And try to find an error. There just isn't one. Beautiful execution, and she rocks the landing.
It is a power event for the women. 9.325 for Veronique Leclerc of Quebec. And she will like that score. Katie Rowland now of Ontario on the uneven bars.
Katie's quite strong on this event. She has some intricate pirouette work, and the judges see that as being very valuable, so she scores well. Beautiful. Oka, actually that's named after one of her former teammates, Koyuki Oka, through to a nice ginger. This event is a combination of twisting and flight. The more you do, the higher the score. Getting ready for a double front dismount and hangs on to that blind landing quite well. Take a look at it. This is the Oka, named after Koyuki Oka. Swings it through. Pirouettes out of it. Right to the release move. That's a ginger. Few form breaks on the legs.
Katie fourth after the first optionals, trying to get into medal position with a solid 9 on the action. She's got to be solid on the floor exercise to maintain her lead here in the third rotation.
Certainly a solid start. Double pike. Through to a 2.5 twist. So she's already shown the judges 2 D elements. Very valuable. And such a great jumper. Jennifer's worked really hard over the years to express herself on floor, and it's not easy. Just about anybody can run down and do a tumbling line, but to really expose your soul takes a lot of practice on this event.
Her closest rival, Sarah Deegan, had a 9-4 on the floor, so the challenge is there for Jennifer.
preparing for the last tumbling line. Punch front, through to a double twist. A very clean performance.
But is it enough to get into the lead? There's her coach, Debbie Vidmar, and one more look at this line.
Debbie looks happy, but I can tell you one coach that's probably ecstatic right now, and that's the coach from Stanford. Jennifer is an exceptional athlete, and she's going to make a great team member.
But the marks aren't there in big numbers. 8.6 for Jennifer Exaltation on the floor exercise. 3 rotations are complete at the Civic Center. Very close between Sarah Deegan and Jennifer Exaltation, with 1 apparatus each left to go. We'll have the final effort by the women. And final rotation in the women's all-around event. A national championship is on the line. It's close. This is Veronique Leclerc of Quebec trying to get into medal contention. She's on the uneven bars.
She could certainly do it on this event. Her explosive dynamic power is certainly an asset on bars, but not enough to grab that high bar. She misses the Shaposhnikova, and I think the reason for that is the new wider bars. The International Gymnastics Federation now allows the athletes to put the bars out to 160 centimeters, and the athletes love that. The wider bars gives them a better swing, very similar to men's high bar. But it makes tricks like a Shaposhnikova, where you have to go from one bar to the other, very difficult to catch. Working the bars beautifully now. She's got a lot of amplitude, great release moves. Now watch this double layout. It truly is a layout. Nails the landing. High flying Tkachev. Right into a great uprise. Half turn, continues on to another release move, an overshoot. Lots of bonus points there.
Well, Veronique is trying to prevent an Ontario sweep of the medals. This will not help. An 8.8 on the uneven bars. Sarah Deegan is in contention for the national championship. She's had some mistakes, Carol, but she's still there.
She's holding on well. That's a Krista Kieva vault. She does a round off onto the board, bumps up, does a half turn, and then the front layout. Couple of form breaks, but she's on her feet.
9.075 for Sarah Deegan of Oshawa, Ontario. And now here is the woman that she is competing against, her closest rival.
Sarah Deegan did a fairly advanced vault, start value 9.6. Jennifer is throwing a front pike, start value 9.5, and it's nicely done. You can see in slow motion that as soon as she bumps off the horse, she's showing good form. Bends her knee slightly to anticipate the floor, but that's a nice blind landing that she holds on to.
9.112. This is going to be very close between Jennifer Exaltation and Sarah Deegan. Alison Rudisi of Ontario on the balance beam.
Oh, yes, that's exactly how you want it done. A lot of athletes try to do the punch front mount. Very creative cover, Alison. Tried to do that punch front mount in combination with a jump, and Alison has shown exactly how it should be done. 2 straddle jumps facing sideways. Looks easy, tough to do. The athlete loses visual contact with the beam. The judges know that, so they award it a higher value. Alison is very creative on this event. Watch this. Punch front right into a back tuck. 2 saltos, 1 front, 1 back. The judges have got to be loving this. She's very original, very eye-catching. Even the way she's changing levels. Most people find that one of the most dull requirements of this event, but Alison turns it into a point of beauty. Very aesthetic performer. Now, this dismount, Scott, she has often struggled on. It's a big one. She's tumbling out of 2 back handsprings into a double back, And Alison Radici is going to be a contender for that world team.
Svetlana Dikteva, one of her coaches. Alison Radici with a nice, solid beam routine here as this fourth and final rotation winds up. 9.025, which, as you say, Carol, is very encouraging for the future. The results are final. Jennifer Exaltation better on the second day, but Sarah Deegan has enough to win the championship. With her is Terry Leibel.
Play of youthful athleticism, where the body reaches for what the mind believes possible. They are laying the groundwork for future success, where hard work and ingenuity are brought to fruition. Part 2 of the National Championships highlights the individual apparatus virtuosity.
Away at this for the coverage of the competition, but remember there are no compulsory competitions, and so that means, Carol, you can't just master the basics on this day. You have to have it all to be successful in the event finals.
So true. The athletes we're going to see today have survived 2 incredibly tough days of optional routines, so you know we're going to see the most eye-catching routines.
In all, there are 10 event finals. The first half of the show will focus in on 2 for the women. First the vault, then the uneven bars. What do you look for there?
On vault, it's simple, pure power, but the rules are actually quite tough. The women are expected to do 2 completely different vaults, and that means if you want to take home a medal, you better be a specialist. But on bars, the look is really changing, and it's the new rules that are directing that change. Look for intricate pirouette work. That means the winners today are going to have a lot of finesse.
The specialty of Shannon McEachern of Brampton, Ontario. She was a Canadian Olympian in 1996 at the Atlanta Games.
And Shannon has just the right qualities for this event. She's fast, she's strong, she's got the power. Nice front pike. Shannon has a little trouble keeping those knees straight because she wants to anticipate that blind landing. You certainly don't want to land with straight legs, but she bends them a little early.
2 vaults, they'll average the scores 9.25 on the first.
Now this has to be a different vault, Scott. And it is. Souk layout with great extension.
There's her coach, Alex Bard of Gymnastics Mississauga.
Comes on, bumps up, lays out that salto, and holds on to the landing.
Second vault is an 8.9, so Shannon averages out at 9.075. Veronique Leclerc of Saint-Hubert, Quebec, 4th individually in the all-around competition.
Now she's planning to do a similar vault to Shannon's first one, but Veronique is going to add a half turn. Tremendous bump off the horse. A little short on the landing. She wants to get that chest up as she hits the ground.
They score on the first vault, 9.125.
Souk layout, same vault as Shannon's second one. Fumbling a little bit with the landing. Those final impressions are so important in the judge's mind. Nice air time. The extension is there, but a little bit of a stumble.
Coached by Michel and Danielle Charon of Gym Richelieu, 8.95 the second vault for an average of 9.037, just behind Winnipeg, Manitoba. 12th individually in the all-around competition, coached by Robert Perchino, former Quebec coach.
Katie has a Yurchenko vault planned. You need to be very precise on that board, get good hand contact, and she does. Watch the round off. She's going to blindly fly back toward the horse, bumps it up, half turn, and then a front layout. That's a tough vault to do well.
Little step on the landing, but a solid 9 even to start. Second vault coming up. Remember, they average the scores.
And this is a difficult event, Scott. It's tough to find 2 valuable vaults. Her first one had a start value of 9.6. Front tuck, start value of 9.3, but it should average out nicely.
That's her coach, Robert Perchino. One more look at the vault.
Bumps it up. This time she's coming forward off the horse. Tries to really absorb that landing through her knees.
Second score for Katie McAvoy, an 8.9. She averages out at 8.950. Another product of Gym Richelieu in Quebec, Claudine Pinard.
So Dean is having a tremendous impact on the Canadian national team. She's still quite young, but take a look at this. Beautiful scoop half, front tuck. This is becoming a very trendy vault. Bumps off the horse, and then there's a front tuck.
Finishes off nicely, and a great score for a first vault, 9.15.
Now, she has to do 2 different vaults, and she doesn't have a second vault. So she'll do the same one again. She's here for some valuable experience competing among the senior athletes. She does the vault extremely well, but the judges will be deducting a full point for not showing 2 different vaults.
And, Carol, that score is reflected in the average 8.175 as she loses that full mark. So, Shannon McEachern of Ontario prevails on her specialty apparatus to claim the gold. Veronique Leclerc takes silver. Katie McAvoy of Manitoba, the bronze medal. Natalie Barrington also representing the province of Ontario.
Natalie has one of the most intricate routines in the country. She will show some inverted giant work that only the Chinese national team has really mastered. Good. Giant full. Now it happens right here. Oh, she's not high enough, doesn't have enough swing, so she's had to leave it out, which is too bad. Finishes off with a packed salto. This is still a great routine, but she had to cover, could not get the inverted giant work in, which is so impressive, and so is that. High-flying Tkachev release. Well, it's not the routine she was hoping for, but it's certainly going to score well with that fast reaction cover.
One of her coaches from Gymnastics Mississauga, Alex Barr, just sneaking in there for the release.
And he's there for safety in case Natalie needs a little catch, but she doesn't. She's got good control.
Natalie was 7th individually in the all-around competition and 8.85 here on the uneven bars. Veronique Leclerc already has a silver medal on the vault.
The start of her routine is so impressive. She's got a Shaposhnikova mount. It is such a long way up to that high bar. The bars are now 160 centimeters apart. And she is flying. That's the Tkachev with the amplitude the judges love. Everything should swing. And this dismount swings and flies. Double layout.
Just barely missed the medals in the individual all-around competition, but she's cashing in today, it appears. Michel Charon, one of her coaches.
Oh, he looks delighted, and he should be. It just doesn't get any better than this. Uprise to the overshoot. Everything is locked in handstand. A clean, classy performance.
Saint-Hubert, Quebec's Veronique Leclerc. Wow, what a great score. 9-4 on the uneven bars to take the lead. Katie Rowland of Georgetown, Ontario, 15 years old.
And another member of the Winstonette Gym Club. Just getting to that bar, Scott, from the low bar to the high bar is probably the toughest part because they're so far apart. Katie has really mastered all of the intricate pirouette work. Ginger, no problem. The judges want to see 2 release moves, so Katie uses the ginger and the overshoot. And she has a pretty nifty dismount, double front, blind landing, and she controls it.
Along with her coach, Leonid Grakovsky, and one more look.
This is so tough to time right. To absorb that blind landing, she'll be deducted 0.1 for the hop back.
Won the bronze medal in the all-around competition, 9.175. Leclerc, a very bright light for Quebec at the 97 Nationals, adds bars gold to her vault silver. Katie Rowland is second, followed by Natalie Barrington in third. Vault in the uneven bars, and now, Carol, they move to 2 completely different pursuits, and they tend to be the fan favorites when it comes to women's gymnastics. Speak of the balance beam and the floor exercise.
And probably the 2 most beautiful events of all. Beautiful, but difficult. Balance beam, look for new combination work. The athletes are really striving to get those big bonus points. But remember, every bonus point means more risk, More risk could mean disaster, so that'll be an exciting competition. Floor exercise is the only event where music comes into play, so the choreography is going to play a real integral role to get a good score. And hey, we've got some breathtaking routines to be watching for today.
For the men, 3 are Claudine Pinard of the province of Quebec on the women's balance beam. And Carol, this is your special.
Absolutely. I think this is the event of all events. Talk about guts and glory. If you're good on beam, you've got it all. Claudine is showing beautiful jumps. The interesting thing about the new rule book is that tumbling is no longer the only emphasis. The jumps are now so valuable in combination. We're going to see a lot of those today. There's her back handspring layout. She used the punch front as a mount, so if you're that good at it, hey, put it in again and get another D. Oh, nice Raflova. She was a little bit off-center on that, and that's a trick you need to be bang on straight. It's a full twisting back handspring chest roll, and there is no room for error. She's showing a lot of class. It's difficult to fall and get back up and continue as strong as she is. This is one event that trains you not only in gymnastics, but valuable life skills. She's determined, she's confident, and she's taking it right to a nice double back dismount.
Claudine Pinard of Quebec. Jim Richel once off the beam, but a gutsy performance results in an 8.55. Katie Rowland of Ontario, not much room to work with as you look right down the beam.
What a great perspective. You can really appreciate what these athletes are performing. Now, Katie has the same mount as Claudine, punch front. The athletes are all using it because it is so valuable. A's are the easiest skills, through to D's and E's are the most advanced and obviously the most valuable. The punch front is a D, so the athletes make good use of it. Here's her punch front on the beam. So what she's doing is flipping forward blindly and landing on only 10 centimeters. Back tumbling, back handspring layout, but she adds a new innovation, and that'll be a direction of the future. Adding elegant jumps to power tumbling, that's where beam is headed.
Incredible contrast between the all-around competition where so much might be going on at the time she's on the beam. Here, every eye is focused on her.
And boy, does that change your perspective. These athletes have to be totally focused and so aggressive. Front 1.5 dismount, perfect landing.
Her coach is Debbie Vidmar. Katie Rowland scores an 8.775. She seems happy with that result. Alison Rudisi of Ontario, 5th in the individual all-around competition from Mississauga.
And Allison knows how to work this event. Nice full turn from the side. She's really an artistic performer. Straddle, straddle. Now, when she faces a side like that, Scott, she loses complete visual perspective of the beam. So the judges give more value for those jumps. Switch, switch. Oh, her right foot landed completely off the beam. What experience and determination to keep it on. She should actually be standing on the floor right now. Punch front. She has so many blind elements in the routine that she does with such confidence. Lovely change of levels. It's such a difficult event to do, but those that score well, they make it look easy when it's not. she's really resting now for the dismount. It is a big one. You hear the bell. She has 10 seconds to get off. Double back. That was a spectacular performance.
Alison Rudisi, there's her coach, Svetlana Dekteva of Gymnastics Mississauga, takes the lead with that score on the beam, a 9 even. But up next is Jennifer Exaltation, and she has scored well on the beam throughout the 2 days of competition here in the individual all-around, and now leading to the event finals.
She's the only one that has a start value of 10, which means if she scored perfectly, she could score a 10 because there's so much in this routine.
Day 1 of the optional, she had a 9.7. Day 2, a 9.4.
And hey, with this new rule book, that's unheard of. Look at the excellent execution, amplitude, good balance between jumps and power tumbling, extended straight body layout. Often you find athletes that can only tumble or can only jump. Jennifer has got it all, and she does it in combination. Exquisite switch split quarter turn. Just the dismount. She needs to watch for the feet, round off double twist.
Jennifer Exaltation, co-national champion in 1995 all-arounder, coach Debbie Vid.
Lots of bonus points.
Great score, 9.525, by far and away the champion on the beam. Jennifer Exaltation with a world-class routine. Alison Rudisi and Katie Rowland, the runners-up. Here's